Hey everybody, welcome back to my carving shed. Today we are going to cover a short topic of corpse wax. This is something that forms on skulls during maceration, a method of cleaning. If you watch me for any length of time, you'll figure out that that's pretty much all I do for cleaning skulls. So if you've done it already, you may be familiar with corpse wax. And all corpse wax is essentially fat that kind of calcifies into like this soapy, kind of flaky material on the skull. Now, it can be a real pain sometimes to remove the corpse wax, so I'm going to show you a method here that's extremely easy and gets very, very good results. Really quickly before we jump into it, I just wanted to let you know that this video is sponsored by my new ebook, Skull Know-How, but more of that at the end of the video. Okay, so there's this thing called Mohs Hardness Scale. It goes from 1 to 10, and it is a scale of the hardness of minerals, okay? Bone contains minerals, right? It is essentially a mineral with the calcium. Ranks roughly, kind of depending on where you look online, between 4 and 5 on that scale. Baking soda is around 2.5. Now, the reasoning behind the whole scale is that if one mineral can scratch the other, then that mineral is lower on the Mohs hardness scale. So if you take a soda blaster and you hit a skull, hit the bone with baking soda, it's not going to damage the bone in any way because the bone is harder than the baking soda. For this video, I am going to be using a deer skull that I macerated, and I have not yet moved on to the degreasing or whitening stage for the skull. So it has just a little bit of corpse wax on it. Probably not as much as I would like for a video to show you how well a soda blaster works, but it's not a bad thing not to have a lot of corpse wax on a skull. There are measures that I do take personally to help prevent corpse wax, and I'll discuss that a little bit later on in the video. But for now, we're gonna use this. I'm gonna show you a few different spots that has some corpse wax on it, and we'll get into it. Okay, now to the good stuff. I will be using a speed blaster. This is a soda blaster, and don't let the name fool you. Like I explained earlier, you're not in any way going to be harming the bone. A couple things to keep in mind: make sure that the bone is dry when you do this, just because bone will be softer when it is wet, so make sure it is completely dry. And then you can just use any old baking powder, or baking soda, sorry. I just use the cheap brand from the store. It works perfectly fine. And then a respirator. And I run the air compressor around 50 to 60 PSI. Just keep in mind, when you go kind of at a higher PSI, you run the risk of simply damaging the bone from the high pressured air. Not necessarily the baking soda that's coming out of it, but just the high pressured air. You can make bones split apart and knock stuff off. So 50 to 60 PSI with the soda seems to be kind of a good range for blowing off the corpse wax and not damaging the bone in any way. Normally, you are going to want to do this outside just because you are blowing a bunch of baking soda into the air, so you don't want to be breathing all of that. But it's raining outside today, so I'm going to be doing this inside. There's not a whole lot I'm going to be blowing off, so it's not going to be too bad. And that is how you thoroughly clean corpse wax off of a skull to get some really professional results. In my personal opinion, this is actually very gentle on the bone, and as you can see, you can get into all the little crevices, the really hard spots you normally would have to scrub it out of. So I do highly recommend getting a soda blaster. Obviously, it's a little bit of an investment, but there's so many other applications that I personally use with skulls with a soda blaster aside from cleaning off corpse wax. So I would highly recommend getting one of these because they're definitely useful. Now, this kind of goes without saying, but there are other ways to clean corpse wax off of skulls. I'm not going to go through them right here, but I would highly recommend checking out Odd Articulation's blog that he wrote on the topic. I'll leave it in the description of this video, and he covers just different ways to clean corpse wax off of the skull, and then, like I mentioned earlier, how to prevent corpse wax, or at least minimize it to begin with. So do check out that article. I'll leave it in the description of this video. And that's it, everybody. Hopefully this was helpful to you. It's really not that hard of a process, other than the few tips I told you to keep in mind while you're going through it. Get a soda blaster. It does amazing results. When you do this and you start blowing off some of that corpse wax, it's just gonna, you get this feeling inside of you that's like, this is amazing. So much less work, such good results. So I can't recommend it enough, guys. Get you a soda blaster. You will not regret it, I promise. All right, thanks, guys. Now, like I said at the beginning, this video is sponsored by an ebook that I just completed. It's about 30 pages. It's completely free. Okay, there's a link in the description of this video. You can download it. The title is Skull Know-How, and it basically is just a bunch of tips and tricks on the topics of skull carving, skull cleaning, staining, and then just general skull care. Kind of similar to the topic today, where I gave you the tip on cleaning the corpse wax. So there's a bunch of different stuff like that condensed into 30 pages, so you don't have to scroll back through several years of different posts on social media and stuff like that. Download it for free, again, about 30 pages. Link in the description of this video. Thanks, guys. Man, you can really see all the sunspots on my face in this light. Wow.